Hey, I'm Adam
And I'm
Chain,
Shoshana Chaim, and we are
propelled
Propelled
by
by
plants.
Plants.
Today we bring to you episode 425, Plant Trainers Travel Tips and Back to School.
So, in today's episode of the Plant Trainers podcast, we are going to talk to you about travel tips, going back to school, and really catch you up on our summer and what to expect from the Plant Trainers podcast moving forward. It's exciting for us because this is our first podcast we're recording back since we have kind of taken our summer hiatus. We had a lot of great guests with our short podcast with you during the summer, and now we're kind of getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, and if you haven't listened to the transformation stories that we shared over the summer, we really encourage you to go back. There's some amazing people that shared some amazing stories, and they will impact you in so many different ways. So definitely go back and listen to those episodes.
They're also really great to share out on your social media because they're short. They're 10 minutes and under. So anybody who you've been trying to swing over to the plant-based lifestyle in the last little while, if they can listen to it because it's bite size, and I think that they'll really be able to relate to it.
Yeah, we've got some great tips for you today, talking about travel and also getting back to school. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this one.
So we're going to have a moment of gratitude.
Let's do it. And now for a moment of gratitude.
Today, I am just grateful for the time and the weather this summer. Yes, it's been rainy. Yes, it's been sunny. Yes, I had time alone. Yes, we had time together. But whatever it was perfect, and it was the way it should be. And I'm just glad that things felt nice and we were able to get outside.
I'm grateful for the summer that I had. I did a lot of traveling out in the west coast of the US, and it's been pretty amazing to be able to run through so many different places and interact with different people, and also seeing the progress that everybody's had as far as COVID is gone, and hopefully things continue to improve and get better. And then I'm also grateful for the time that we spent together as well. And that's it for now.
Awesome. So let's get into the show. We're going to catch you up a little bit more details on what we did this summer. So before the summer in June, things in Canada, especially in Ontario where we live, we're really starting to open up. I know things have been open in various parts of the world and the United States for quite a while, but our kids hadn't been to school since December and March in person. Everything was online. We had our malls that were closed. We were basically only able to go out for pharmaceuticals and groceries. We weren't even allowed to buy new underwear or socks in the stores for a long time. So things had really started to open up, which offered the opportunity for our kids to go away to sleepaway camp as they normally do. So that was amazing.
If you're listening from the United States, this sounds very foreign to you because they've been open for a while and people have been out and doing their regular things for a long time. It wasn't like that here in Canada, or at least in Toronto, in our area. So it was very shocking when I went to the US in late June, and just people are doing everything like normal. People are not wearing their masks. They're out in public, and life was like it almost never happened. And then just experiencing that was almost like a bit of a culture shock for me.
And for me, staying here, patios opened, then slowly indoor restaurants opened, and you started to see friends that you haven't really seen for a while. And we're at the point where we're saying, are you hugging? And you're only hugging people if both people are feeling comfortable hugging or people haven't traveled internationally. So it is kind of awkward that way. But basically my summer was all about, the kids being gone and Adam being gone for travel was about me putting my head down and sitting with myself for a while, looking at the Plant Trainers podcast and that side of the business and my personal side of the business as well, and really just working and helping as many people as possible, and really like knocking that out of the park and just watching so many people thrive, whether it was from hormone disorders or autoimmune disease or weight loss or so many broken bones that healed 3-4 weeks. People were able to come out of casts early. That's the kind of work that I really spent doing this summer. And it was so rewarding to me, but at the same time, being able to go out for walks, meet people for coffee, have some meals with people in restaurants has really been exciting. And to some of you that might sound boring, but that's okay.
We mentioned the way that life was in Toronto in June, and I think you should tell them what our son Russ said when he was going to camp and how he felt about the whole thing.
Yeah, so this is super exciting. Just the fact that he's been a kid that can't always express his feelings. He knows he has these strong feelings, and you ask him what's going on or to explain it, and he says, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know how to say it. And towards the end of the year, so beginning of June, he was really having some mental health issues were really coming down hard on him, and we would put a lot in place, and he was thriving and doing okay. And he was able to say, I feel like I've been locked in a box for a year and a half. I haven't been able to see my friends. I haven't been able to go to school, and I've been locked in a box. And as June started to show that, he had a milestone birthday, and he knew that he was hopefully going to be going to camp, and the weather was nicer to be outside. He's like, I feel like there's these little holes in the box, and I can start to breathe a little bit again. And then as camp got closer, he's like, I feel like the box is going to open. And then when he got to camp, he wrote us a letter that I read to Adam. And it said, I feel like my box is gone. The box is gone. I'm out of the box, and I can be a kid again. And I think that's really profound. I think the way that he thought about that is exceptional. I think the way that our child in particular was able to express himself is like that. And I think that that's a way a lot of Canadians and more conservative Americans in more conservative states or cities have really been feeling. So I wish no box for any of you, really.
Yeah. No box would be a great thing. And I think we're heading that way, although you never know these days. So hopefully people are staying safe out there and taking care of themselves. And I know a lot of people have been traveling over the summer, and we're going to get into some tips for travel because we did some traveling as well. And we want to share some of those with you. If we have new listeners, they're probably going to want to benefit from hearing these tips. And if you've been following us on our Instagram at Plant Trainers, and you would see our normal feed, we have a lot of good photos in there that are from some of our travels. And as you know, our stories are updated pretty often. So we've been sharing a lot of content there. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. But we're going to talk about some travel tips. And then, as you know, because it's the beginning of September, it's back to school time. So we're going to share some of that as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a minute, because while we were away, we were eating in restaurants. We did some planning and brought some food with us, which I promise we're going to talk about. But we were kind of, I don't know what we were doing. Were we on the beach, or we were just kind of sitting and enjoying what we were doing? And I said, oh my God, we're going to have to go back. And the kids are going to start school again, which some of you have done already. The kids are going to start school again. We're going to be back into our work routines. And this whole eat when you want to eat what you want to eat in restaurants all the time is going to go. So we're going to have to start making recipes again, thinking about some new recipes, planning the kids' lunch, and planning our dinners. And I said, well, we've taken part in all of these bundles before where we have offered, collaborating with so many other great health professionals to give you guys an enormous amount of information, more information than you can ever go through. What if we took our 4 most popular ebooks and e-courses and put them together so that you know what to make, you know how to make it, you know how to plan it, you know how to batch cook it, alongside with soccer practice and your Zoom meetings and your in-person meetings and all of that. So we bundled up our easy recipes for busy parents, e-cookbook, our school lunch planner for those of you that are planning lunches for yourself or your children, meal planning mastery so that you can plan all these meals and shop for them properly, and the Picky Eaters program, because we know so many of you want your kids to be eating more foods than what they're eating now. And the truth is if you have an adult in the house, a lot of these tips and tricks can work for them too. So we bundled all of that up. It's worth over $200 for only $49. And you can access that on our website. On our show notes, or you could go to bit.ly/BTSB 2021. So bit.ly/ what is it? Bundle.
You're good. Back to school bundle
Yeah.
2021. You know what? I'm just gonna put it in the show notes so it's easy. So it'll be at planttrainers.com/425. And if you want that link because you're listening, you want to go direct, it's bit.ly/BTSB2021. Great deal, $49. But that's enough about that.
What he said.
Let's actually get to some content for them. And those of you that need that support and those resources, it is a great deal. So hopefully you can take advantage of it.
Yeah. So normally we do a lot of traveling with the children. This summer, Adam traveled for 5 weeks across various states and cities. And then we spent a week in northwestern Ontario, the Lake Huron area, Bruce
Trail.
The Bruce Trail. And we basically stayed in motels while we were there. So there was a bit that we planned ahead and really helped us to enjoy ourselves more while we were there, because we weren't spending hours upon hours figuring out what are we going to eat, where are we going to eat, and are they going to be accommodating us.
It's funny when you travel, for some reason everything becomes about food, and it really shouldn't be. But everybody does have to fuel their body and eat properly. And hopefully some of the things you're going to hear today are going to be able to help you the next time you travel. And it's really quite simple. I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to make elaborate meals on the road, but there might be a few things that you could bring with you or steps that you could take to prepare yourself so that you're ready to go when you get there.
So the first thing that I did is I took a look at the motels or hotels that we booked, and I found out specifically what we would have access to inside of our rooms or in the greater area of the hotel or motel. So that meant, did we have a fridge and what size was it? Did we have a microwave? Did we have a kettle? Was there an extra sink for cooking and washing dishes and things like that? So that was really the first thing that I did. So one of the places we stayed in had a cute little like microwave, an extra sink, and a coffee maker, and that where we can have hot water. There was hot water in the lobby. So I really knew what we can work with there. And then the other one only had a kettle if you asked for it at the front, and general microwaves throughout the hallways where I didn't know what was going to be cooked in it first and how clean they would be. So I had to kind of plan around that.
And of course, what you could do is when you're booking your accommodation, you could book something that has a full kitchen if you want a full kitchen. It just depends what you're after, where you want to go, and what's available at the time. So that's what we found. That was what was available.
We were late. We were pretty late booking.
Late
so we took what we can get. When there's other places for sure with full kitchens and dishwashers and stuff too. So what you need, you can probably get. So what I was able to do is say, okay, some places offered breakfast, but of course we don't know what they're offering, and some places don't. So we came prepared because we drove. We came prepared with breakfast options and lunch options for ourselves, which meant that we had some soy milk, we had some cereals, we had some packets of oatmeal, and that was really what we had prepared for breakfast, on top of any fruit that we could bring with or buy once we were there. And actually the first place we went to, they were able to show us the packaging for the breads and the bagels and things like that, so that we can see if we were able to eat those as well. So that was great. And they were really great at accommodating us. And I actually spoke to them. They didn't have any almond milk or soy milk, for those of you that like your coffee, brown, not black. We talked to them about having the shelf stable soy milks or almond milks that they can keep in the back and only open up when somebody asks for it, because it would be an extra cost for them to keep the ones that expire a little bit faster, or it would be an extra cost for them to keep it open and nobody use it. And they were really open to that. And I think I helped them to accommodate vegan, plant-based people even more, because now they can buy a couple of those on sale and keep them in the back and just open it up when they need it, which would be great.
Yeah. And then you can also hit the grocery store and pick up anything you need for your hotel room, for your motel room, and just grab yourself some fruits and veggies. And I know that when I'm on the road and I'm traveling to these places where I have no idea what I'm going to be able to eat, I go to the grocery store and I find some carrots, some celery, some cucumber, some hummus.
Hummus.
Say it,
Hummus.
hummus, and that becomes a lunch. And again, it's not a traditional looking lunch. It's just a makeshift kind of grab and go kind of thing, and that's totally cool. And sometimes that's what you do.
Or just peanut butter and banana, which is great. They always have those little peanut butters, although they have sugar in them. They always have those little peanut butters, and they usually have bananas at breakfast too that you could bring with for lunch. So we were able to make peanut butter sandwiches to take with us on our hikes, peanut butter and jelly that I brought with, with a loaf of bread that met our standards. And those were our lunches a lot of the time. And sometimes if we found a place that did smoothies, we would grab a smoothie. I was craving a green smoothie the whole time just to get the greens in me. So we have definitely traveled with our Vitamix before. We wanted to travel light this time. So finding the local smoothie place is definitely a great option as well.
And while I was traveling in the States, the hotels that I stayed at usually supplied breakfast or had breakfast options. And it was usually a nice continental spread, of which not many plant-based options, usually a lot of eggs and bacon and sausage. And all I would do would be find, some of them had oatmeal, which was great, was able to do that. But I would grab a banana and I'd slice it in half and I'd fill it with peanut butter, and that would end up being my breakfast. Or if they didn't even have that, I just have a bunch of bananas for breakfast. So there's always something that you could do, a way to make it work. You just have to be open-minded and speak to the people at the hotel to see how they could help you. And they're usually willing to.
And if you don't want to bring a lot of food with you, bringing some chia seeds or some hemp hearts just to get your omegas in, throw that on top of your banana or your cereal or your oatmeal. That's a really great way to elevate things without having the bulk of all this food with you.
So we went to Northern Ontario, to small towns, and we were looking for some vegan restaurants, some plant-based restaurants. And you did something interesting, a way to get some good information. Tell everybody what you did.
All right. So there's a couple of things that I did in advance. I put aside an hour or two and I said, I'm just going to do research for the next hour or two. And I looked up the towns that we were going to be in, and I looked them up on Happy Cow. I looked them up and I just looked up, Tobamori vegan food. And that way, all of the restaurants that had been rated and reviewed that people had mentioned being vegan in, those came up. So I was able to check out their menus and or call them in advance to ask a couple of questions so that I would know which items more or less were available for us to order, and make sure that, if it was a burger, that the bun was actually vegan too. And that way we made sure that even though there might have been other options on the menu once we got there, if we just chose a restaurant and had to get stuck eating a Beyond Meat burger, 3 nights in a row, that would have been boring. So we said, okay, well, there's a stir fry at this restaurant, and there's a chili at that restaurant, and there's pizza at that restaurant. So we were able to mix it up a bit too. So that's one thing that I did. And that really helped us, because then when we got there, we looked at location, we looked at reservations, we looked at availability, and we were able to pick what we wanted that day based on our schedule. The second thing I did is I went to because it was within a 3-4 hour drive from our place, I was able to look in the Vegan Toronto group. If I was doing this
on Facebook,
on Facebook, if I was, going to, I don't know, Austin, I would have gone into an Austin Facebook group, a vegan Austin Facebook group. And I would have said, hey, I'm going to this particular city or this particular town. What do you recommend? Where do you recommend I eat? So then the people who have traveled there before or even live there gave us a long list of all the restaurants and all the little things that we could have chosen from at those restaurants too. And that actually really opened up a great opportunity. And shout out to Mitzi, because she worked at one of the restaurants and she ended up being our server, and she recommended another restaurant, which was like it was not processed food. It was all homemade, delicious vegetables from the garden kind of food. So it really led to other opportunities that we wouldn't have normally been able to find on our own.
What I want to, you mentioned burgers, and it made me think that, when I was traveling through the States, there were a lot of restaurants that I came across that I was so excited because they said they had a vegan burger on the menu. It specifically said vegan burger, like that was the listing. And so I was excited to be able to order a vegan burger. And then I thought, oh, I better ask to make sure if it's actually a vegan burger and make sure there's nothing else. Anyway, it turns out that almost every single place that had vegan burger, vegan hot dog, anything like that, the bun was not vegan. And so, what I want to throw out there is if you're someone who's concerned about consuming egg in your bread and you're going to want to stick to vegan, something to ask the restaurant. Just because it says it's a vegan hamburger or a vegan hot dog doesn't mean that it's got a bun that's vegan. For some reason, they're labeling things as vegan when it's not entirely the case.
Or I find that even more with plant-based, because the majority of it is plants. They're calling a lot of things these days plant-based where it's really not. And I think that happened. I don't know if it's still true. And the last time I even looked at Burger King, I don't know. But I think when they first came out with that Impossible Whopper, they still had the mayonnaise on it, and they still had the condiments that weren't necessarily vegan as well. So you still do need to ask a couple of questions. If you are 100% plant-based, 100% vegan like us, then you definitely still need to ask those questions. And we did get a ton of, hey, is this vegan? Or hey, is this plant-based? And they'd go, well, we have gluten-free, or we don't have gluten-free. And we'd be like, yeah, vegan does not equal gluten-free. You've probably seen in our personal stories and our Instagram stories, us kind of making fun of it, even though it's not really to
It's
be
not
made
really,
fun of.
yeah.
It's kind of just, like, here we go again. So what we really started doing is saying, knowing that something wouldn't have meat or fish in it, we've been saying, is there egg or dairy in it? Which makes them think about it in a different way. It moves away from the labels and concentrate more on the ingredients. And I think we did have a little bit better luck that way.
Yeah, my favorite one was when I asked the bakery if their sourdough bread was vegan, and they said no, it has flour. And it just goes to show that not everybody understands or knows the terminology just yet. So it's still something you need to question and prod and ask using the right terminology to get the answer that you're looking for.
And then there was also a pizza place that I went to, and I said, does your crust have egg or dairy? And he said, well, we have gluten-free. And I said, well, does the gluten-free have egg or dairy? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, well, can you find out if any of it has? And he's like, well, that would take me 5 minutes. So why don't you just go somewhere else instead? In which case, instead of saying all the things I wanted to say, I just said thank you and walked away, because A, that's not a place that I want to spend my money at. And B, I can't really trust a person to give me the right answer if that's the answer I'm going to get. So sometimes it takes a little bit of discipline of not getting into it with people and just walking away and finding another option as well, and not letting that ruin your day or your trip as well.
Yeah. So next, let's get into what our plans are for the next few months.
All right. Oh, wait, I want to give them a few more options for dinners and lunches that they can bring with them if you're going to do grocery shopping while you're there, or you're going to bring with you. So if you have access to a kettle and hot water, they have, we have the ramen soups. You can get some in the natural health food store that might be a little bit healthier. There's microwave rice. And again, things that we wouldn't necessarily use in our house all the time, but for travel, there's microwave rice. And so we bought a couple of pouches of Indian food as well that can be warmed up in the microwave that we never did get to, but it was there as a backup. We brought with some guacamole and wraps and salsa and tofu that we were able to make into little burrito kind of meals. So there's lots of things that you can do. And again, like Adam said, it might not look like a meal like you see in a restaurant or like you expect, but as long as you're eating enough food, as long as you're eating enough calories and still getting in your nutrients. And we didn't do any protein powder while we were gone this time. We don't do protein powder often. When we do, we tend to use, when we do use it, we tend to be away, but we do have our BioFi for our greens, and we do have our energy bits for that algae. So and that actually, it's actually a little bit filling, and it helps with recovery as well. So those were some of the things that we had with us. And we do have a multivitamin that we take while we're away too, because we're not getting the variety and the quality of greens and other vegetables as we would normally get when we were home.
And of course, in the show notes, I'll put a link to our BioFi for greens, get you a discount, and energy bits as well for that algae for you to get a discount. So what are we going to be doing for the next few months? Because we're going to be changing up our schedule a little bit. And I know we've been going weekly with podcasts for the last 7.5 years. And we're going to be shifting a little bit.
Yes. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting out a podcast every 2 weeks, starting this week. It's still going to be great content. It's still going to be amazing experts. It's still going to give you the fuel that you need to continue on your journey, but we are going to be coming at you every 2 weeks. So if you're really going to miss us on that off week, what we recommend, because we know so many of you have only come to us in the last year or so, going back and looking on either at planttrainers.com, you could go right back to 001. Or if you look on one of the providers like Apple Podcasts, you can go back to the last 200 or so, 300 and find the ones that you haven't listened to yet. And you could supplement in that way.
Yeah. And any episode you want to find, it's just planttrainers.com/ and the number. So this one is /425. If you want to go back to episode 1, it's 001. And wow, that was a long time ago.
Don't judge us, because we were just starting. Not that you would, but we were just starting out. So that's what to expect over the next couple of months, is that we're going to be doing it every second week, but you can definitely find more in between. And we are going to keep up with our amazing content at Plant Trainers on Instagram. We really are looking forward to getting into the conversations there, commenting on the posts, because we answer you back and we get really excited about that and getting to know you better. So if you haven't followed us yet at Plant Trainers on Instagram, do that and look for amazing content there.
And we'd love to hear from you. So if you've listened to our show, or if you're listening to this one, feel free to drop comments and let us know how you feel about us going every 2 weeks rather than every week. If that upsets you, sorry about that, but hopefully you will still appreciate our content and still hang out with us and come and listen and watch. And let us know who you'd like to see on the show, who you'd like to listen to on the show. What other guests should we bring to you, or what topics or content are you looking for? Let us know. You could always shoot us an email at info@planttrainers.com, or you could find us on our Instagram at Plant Trainers and send us a DM anytime.
Anytime. We completely appreciate you being here and sticking with us through this every 2 weeks. And if you are someone who is a health coach or a doctor or works with patients or any kind of health coaching or fitness coaching, I'm looking to have discussions with you, share some of the ways that we've been helping our clients in the past while, and see if there's an opportunity to collaborate at all. So if you're interested in that, you can also email us at info@planttrainers.com, and we could set up an appointment to talk, and I'd love to get to know you more.
And of course, that back to school bundle is available for a limited time only. It's a $49 package. So check the show notes, planttrainers.com/425 to get that deal before it's gone.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.